identify something they're excited about and then like make it even more exciting, take a good thing and make it even better. That's what we were doing then, and it's what we try to keep doing now.
Welcome to Honest Ecommerce, a podcast dedicated to cutting through the BS and finding actionable advice for online store owners. I'm your host, Chase Clymer, and I believe running a direct-to-consumer brand does not have to be complicated or a guessing game. On this podcast, we interview founders and experts who are putting in the work and creating real results. I also share my own insights from running our top Shopify consultancy, Electric Eye. We cut the fluff in favor of facts to help you grow your e-commerce business. Let's get on with the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Honest Ecommerce. Today, I'm welcoming to the show Jamie Mottram. Jamie is the president of BreakingT, the fastest licensed sports fan apparel brand in the land. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. The company sounds pretty badass, doesn't it?
It does. But for those that don't know anything about the company, what is BreakingT doing? What are you guys selling?
Yeah, our core product is hot market sports fan apparel. So sometimes the hot market's predictable, sometimes it's unpredictable. We're basically reacting to what happens in the world of sports and turning it into merchandise in real time so that fans can be buying it the same day it's, trending and wearing it shortly thereafter.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, take me back in time. You're the president. When did you join the company? What was your role? What problems were you brought in to solve?
Well, we needed somebody to work on BreakingT. I was the first employee, so we just needed somebody to care every day, about the company, about the brand, about the products and its customers. So this was like late 2017. I had spent a career in digital sports media and doing a lot of what we do now in t-shirt format as like blog posts and Instagram videos and podcast stuff like that. But BreakingT was in a kind of proto state where, intermittently, we would put out new products inspired by current sports events, but it was nobody's daily concern. It was our co-founders, kind of side project that they'd been working on for a couple of years and trying to build out, as best they could. But they felt like it had a lot of potential and they needed somebody to come in and realize that and focus on it and build the company. So I was that person in fall of 2017.
Amazing. And then what are you allowed to share as far as like size of the business when you joined? Was it profitable yet? Like what was going on?
Yeah, I mean, it was not necessarily profitable or not profitable. Like there was really no overhead costs, associated with the business, but it was a low six-figure revenue for that 2017 year, and then 2018 was our first seven-figure year.
Well, all right. Now how do I do that if I'm listening to this show? What's the secret sauce? I know it's not that easy, but what do you remember doing differently or just doing for the first time in that first year?
Yeah, well, it's easy to go from 0 to 1. That was easier than where we are now, trying to grow off of that 7-8 years later. We were just we weren't necessarily creating excitement or enthusiasm or energy. We were kind of just like identifying what those waves were and hopping on, so we're looking at what's trending in sports. And that was really, my job from day one was do what you do in sports media world, running sports content organizations like newsrooms, and apply that to commerce and merchandise. What's happening in sports today? Okay. So-and-so had a crazy shot. This guy's going viral because he said some crazy stuff. This team just, signed a new quarterback. Which of those things could you commercialize in the form of merchandise? Like which of those things would fans like to wear? Would they like to wear a quote, that's going viral where the Washington quarterback just screamed, "You like that?" After a big game? Well, yeah, you like that. It's fun. Like let's put it on a shirt in team colors. So I was just looking at that every day, and we had one artist who was really talented because I don't do art good, but we had one really good artist who could take these things and turn them into products for us. We had a production partner, a printer that would fulfill all our orders and get them out in timely fashion and high quality, and just do that every day, and we would build up hit after hit after hit, and those things would decline inevitably after the first few days. And then you find another one, and that was the beauty and why BreakingT really works with sports is like the excitement regenerates, and there's so many fan bases and so many different tribes of people that you can kind of tap into and, identify something they're excited about and then like make it even more exciting, take a good thing and make it even better. That's what we were doing then, and it's what we try to keep doing now.
Yeah, I've got like a not necessarily a logistics question, but it just I'm fascinated by just the velocity in which you are releasing new products. Mm-hmm. I think we could talk about that for the entire episode, but I do want to cover some other territories. But my question is like, how long are these products live, and are you keeping them live forever, or are you archiving them after the demand goes down?
Yeah. There's a bunch of different ways to do this, and I don't know what the best way is. I know just how we've done it is we were launching and, really the product only existed in digital format. Here's the digital mock-up of a shirt with this graphic on it. And if you want to buy it, great, we're going to print it and send it to you. So we would put something up for sale for a day, 2 days, kind of gauge demand, and then do a large batch print to fill those orders and maybe meet something extra. Kind of predict conservatively how it'll continue to sell. But then once that inventory dried up and once sales had kind of dried up, that was just sold out, and we're on to the next. Bill Belichick style, we're on to the next. And we did it that way, only printing in large batches and having, limited supply for individual products. We did it that way for the first few years. And then we started diversifying the ways in which we are producing the garments and started introducing, print on demand to the equation. So we still do both like the larger batch prints, but printing on demand as well, one at a time for specific orders has enabled us to continue selling things forever. So that great moment, when the Packers beat the Bears in 2018, like you can still buy that shirt on BreakingT, even though you might be the only one this week.
I guess a question I think some people out there would have is just like, well, why isn't everything just print on demand if it's so easy? Mm-hmm. I think I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you.
But, the costs really. We also have a thriving wholesale business to our retail partners. So the machinery that we use to print in large batches to do screen printing, we're using that for retail anyway. For our Dick's Sporting Goods and Shields and Rally House and these different sports retailer partners of ours. So we have that operation, we have that capability already. So we also apply it to our hot DTC sellers. If a DTC seller is selling, I don't know, like we've got 200 units sold of a specific graphic, we'd rather screen print that because just the print cost associated on a unit basis is like half of if we were, doing direct to garment individual prints, so you can also do it a lot faster. Like the screen print, we can print off thousands of shirts in a day for an individual graphic, easy peasy. DTG, that's going to take a longer time. Just the manpower of like loading each shirt individually onto a machine. So anyway, it starts to get a little boring and a little complex. Try to keep it simple, but we can kind of have it both ways.
No, and sometimes I surprise myself with my guesses on these answers, and I was 100% right. It came down to time and right. Unit cost. All right, so you have. Still talking about the early days of BreakingT. Mm-hmm. So you have like an awesome engine to create and ideate on merch designs in a unique way that people haven't seen for a unique niche, this fan base and this audience. Now, how are you going about putting these products in front of these fans? How are you finding new customers and retaining these customers?
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of ways. At this point now, we have a pretty robust customer database that we can segment out. If your team just got a new quarterback, then you're going to hear from BreakingT about it in your inbox and maybe through SMS, or maybe if you follow us on social channels, you'll see it organically. These are kind of the things that I guess you fall into the banner of organic, and that's that's been a strong and growing channel for us throughout. Email has continued to grow for us, across the 7+ years I've been doing this. But we also have, affiliate marketing where we'll partner with different, it used to be like every team we had a blog partner. We'd find like the best blog about, the Packers, Ohio State, whoever, whatever team it is that, they've got at least one blog, if not a whole army of bloggers. We're going to partner with them, have it be an affiliate model. And it's not only just revenue sharing on referred sales, but also like collaborative, like coming up with creative concepts and ideas. Because like if you're an Ohio State blogger, like you are a diehard, everything that's going on, all the flavors of it, that don't necessarily work for other schools, that probably don't work for other schools. So that was cool because it was like not only bringing customers into the store, but improving our products too, and like leveling up.
They would have just insane niche idea. Like you're like, I've never heard that phrase before. It's like, yeah, you're not from here.
Right. That sounds dirty. It's not dirty, is it? But yeah, we would get in front of customers that way. And we still do that, but it's kind of broadened and evolved. So sometimes those affiliate partners would be like, social influencers or podcasters, sometimes athletes, sometimes, media members, so we have that affiliate business. And then we do a lot of paid like everybody else through Meta, Google, Amazon. And with sports, it's like pretty easy to identify your audience, for any given product. And we've got so many products now, a deep catalog for pretty much any team or school in any sport. So we have these campaigns running, for, literally hundreds of teams across those different platforms. So that's another way we've been able to be pretty efficient and been able to scale out the business. Those are the main ways for e-com. And I know that that's what we're talking about here, but, wholesale is a whole other beast.
I have been in business for nearly 20 years, and very few companies I have hired in that time have performed as well as Electric Eye. They have knowledgeable staff, and our project was delivered on time and on budget. Electric Eye has exceeded my expectations, and I look forward to working with them again. That is a direct quote from one of our clients at Electric Eye. Electric Eye is a Shopify Plus partner that has helped over 100 brands migrate, redesign, and optimize their stores since 2016. If you'd like to increase your conversion rate, average order value, and revenue per session, we are the true Shopify experts you've been looking for. Right now, we're offering a free diagnostic to qualified brands that reach out and mention the podcast. Visit electriceye.io today to schedule a call and send us a message. Find out why we have over 50 5-star reviews in the Shopify partner directory. Again, that's electriceye.io, electriceye.io. What if every customer could help grow your brand without you lifting a finger? Social Snowball is the platform that turns word of mouth into a real growth engine for Shopify and TikTok shops. Here's how it works. Every time someone buys from you, Social Snowball can automatically turn that customer into an affiliate, giving them a unique referral link or discount code instantly. They can share it wherever they're already posting. Instagram stories, TikTok videos, YouTube hauls, you name it. You'll be able to track every referral and influencer sale, send commission payouts in 2 clicks, block codes from leaking to coupon sites, automate influencer seeding and gifting, and let affiliates cash out using over 700 payout options. Plus, it works seamlessly with your existing tech stack and channels like Shopify, Klaviyo, PostScript, and your TikTok shop dashboard. The craziest part is they're basically giving away free money. You can launch your affiliate program for free, which shouldn't take longer than a day if you focus, and enjoy a 30-day trial before ever paying for the app. That's right. You can use this software to turn your customers into affiliates for 30 days for free. To take advantage of this offer, go to socialsnowball.io/honest. That's socialsnowball.io/honest. Again, that's socialsnowball.io/honest. Would $1,000 help your business? Portless is giving new customers $1,000 to reinvest back into their business just for getting started. Right now, you are probably paying tariffs on most items in your warehouse before you even make a sale. That means your cash is just sitting there, trapped in inventory that might not even get sold. Not exactly a recipe for growth, right? But what if we told you there's a smarter way? With Portless, you only pay tariffs when an order ships after you've been paid by your customers. That means free up more working capital instantly, turn inventory into cash faster, and completely eliminate the risk of paying tariffs on unsold stock. Here's how it works. Portless helps you ship directly from China to your customers' doorsteps in just 5 to 8 days. Yes, that's exactly what Shein and Temu do, and you can do it too. You get access to your inventory days after manufacturing, keep less stock on hand, and only pay duties on what actually sells. No more guessing games, no more cash flow nightmares, just smarter, faster scaling. And remember, all new Portless customers get $1,000 to reinvest back into their business. Schedule your free strategy call today. Visit portless.com/honest. That's portless.com/honest. One more time, that's portless.com/honest. Shopify makes it easy to sell online, but unlocking streamlined global sales demands more. Don't let high cross-border fees, frustrating payment failures, and complex tax requirements hold back your store's international growth. Activate Reach instead. As a merchant of record, Reach helps high-growth brands like yours optimize global sales with local processing and automated tax compliance, all while protecting your store from fraud. Reach is already integrated with Shopify, so you can activate Reach with no extra dev work and start seeing results fast. Brands like Revolve and Everlane trust Reach to boost international approval rates to over 90% and cut cross-border costs by up to 40%. Expanding globally is just the first step. Optimizing performance is where the growth happens. Book a free, no-obligation consultation today and learn how you can level up your global sales at withreach.com/honest. That's withreach.com/honest. withreach.com/honest. Yeah, let's get into wholesale. It's, and that's when we started this show. Even me as a entrepreneur and a host, it's like, yeah, I was very interested in e-commerce, but that's just like kind of part one of building a successful business. And I think limiting yourself to only a direct consumer e-commerce experience, you're leaving money on the table. And at the end of the day, why are people listening to this? They want to become better and they want to build something cool. And, why limit it to the conversation to just that online experience? So when did wholesale or these retail partners become a big play for BreakingT?
It was starting to become big right before COVID, and then it wasn't big for a while. It was like
all the buyers were like, let me call you back.
Yeah. I mean, I handled all of our sales up until I think mid 2019, like summer 2019. Like we didn't have a sales force at all because we were 100% direct to consumer online, during those initial years, those first few years. But we were having some success, like getting into stadium stores were kind of our first, our first foray into retail was working with like the Washington Nationals, working with the Cleveland Indians, working with different teams for their in-venue retail. Because what we had that they didn't offer was what they referred to as front table merchandise. So if a player did something or there was some sort of achievement unlocked that we had merchandise for, they had no other product. They had no other goods that really touched on that. So they would want to come to us and not only bring it in, but bring it in and put it on the front table of the store because it was like window dressing, it was the first thing people see that greeted them. And if you notice this, if you're like in our little corner of the world, most of these like stadium store experiences or like sports fan retail experiences, there's always something special and new on the front table. There's always something that's like seasonal, like, oh, these new uniforms that the team's wearing. Here's the jerseys, or like the special release hat, or the green stuff for St. Patrick's Day, whatever. It's always something that's gimmicky, quite often. But this is like an authentic way to do that. It's like, this is what you actually care about that just happened with the team. So we saw that with in-venue retail. And then we kind of broadened it and expanded to sports specialty retailers across the country, like Dick's and Shields and Academy and Lids and Rally House. But but it was still that like front table dynamic, that was really at play. A lot of NFL stars just switch teams. If you're a Steelers fan, you're excited about DK Metcalf. If you're a Steelers fan, you might be a little scared about Aaron Rodgers, or whatever it is. If you're selling merchandise to Pittsburgh fans, you want to have something that speaks to this and isn't just ignoring what's really like the hottest topic. So that's why we're able to build out that business. The challenge is being as fast as we are with e-com. We need to deliver quickly.
Absolutely. It's a little harder to update that table across, I'm assuming, hundreds of stores at this point.
Yeah. And like they've got to, not only do we have to print and ship the goods, and not only do they have to receive them, and have them out and tagged and ready for purchase, but like they just need to place the orders to begin with.
Yeah.
There's so many steps in the process that is really built for like more seasonal goods. And like, we're going to buy stuff for like summer, and the summer 25 buy is going to happen in like spring 24, so it's been that's been kind of a common thread with BreakingT is, disruption, but I don't necessarily mean it in a good, like entrepreneurial catchphrase type of way. It's like our speed is disruptive. And like we're constantly trying to pull everybody through with us.
Yeah, I could almost feel the frustration of a big moment happening. They placed an order a week ago, and you go, "You have to get some of this. This is going to sell like gangbusters."
Yeah, and sometimes the industry's right there with us. They're fired up. There's this new capability. Like Ohio State won the national championship. Their linebacker, Jack Sawyer, is like a Buckeye hero, and he had a legendary moment in the college football playoff. It was a scoop and score to beat Texas. Great stuff. Mm-hmm. Like instant, like Buckeye lore, And we had graphics designed for like that night, to celebrate the scoop and score and the legend of Jack Sawyer. And Ohio State, to their credit, the Buckeye NIL collective, to their credit, they approved those products immediately, so we were able to go to market and sell while fans are flipping out, and that's really powerful. We see that in our conversion rates. They're like through the roof, like 3, 4, 5x normal. But then there's the flip side of that. The same type of moment might have happened with another licensing entity where we have to wait 2-3 days. And I'm like,
and the momentum's gone. It's been replaced by the next thing in the news cycle.
Freaking out. Right. And it goes to market. And you know what? That conversion rate is completely down. It's down to normal. It might as well not even be a hot product, so there's so many different dynamics. And that's another thing with what we do. And, you've probably spoken to other brands, like we're licensed consumer products. So it's not always up to us. We got to wait on approvals, and it's not necessarily, our say as to exactly what the finished product's going to look like and when it's going to be ready.
Now, you mentioned Amazon earlier, and I am not an Amazon expert by any means, but I am curious, like, was Amazon always like a channel for you, or did you add it in at some certain point?
We were reluctant at first because we felt like it was going to cannibalize our e-commerce business. Mm-hmm. And we also were growing our DTC business so aggressively that we didn't feel like it wasn't like the timing was right to kind of branch out. As we leveled off a little bit with DTC and got more and more kind of confident that it was a different audience and a different customer, we started branching out and doing more with Amazon. And that has grown tremendously for us over the past few years. We've had a lot of success with that marketplace.
Did you ever feel it was actually cannibalizing the direct consumer sales?
I feel like it might be. I feel like it might be now. And it's so hard to say. It's so, I don't know, maybe it's not hard to say. Maybe somebody has all the answers, and I don't. I know we want to be where the fans are, where our customers are, and potential customers. So we're trying to balance that. We feel like if we weren't on Amazon, and we're not in some cases because of licensing restrictions and distribution channel, issues, not issues, but like rights, you have rights to different channels. And we don't have them for Amazon across the board. I think it would harm our business to not have our goods on, listed on Amazon. I don't know at what point it tips in the other direction where we're causing more harm by flooding the zone and putting our listings there. I do think that the scale has gotten to the level where it's starting to have some conflict with our DTC business and maybe our wholesale business.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that we've really struggled to balance and find, achieve the right balance. But so far, I think it's been a very positive, aspect of our business. And one thing that really motivated me was totally anecdotal. It was going to be my son's 10th birthday, and he's a Steph Curry fan. And my mom texted me all these screenshots of Steph Curry t-shirts. And hey, what do you think Miles would like for his birthday? And they were all shirts from a competitor of ours that she had found on Amazon. And I'm like, Mom, we make Steph Curry shirts. But I
love your mom.
She didn't even know that. She not only didn't realize that we, have Steph Curry shirts, but she also was looking on a platform where competitive products are, and that we aren't, we weren't at the time, and it just kind of tipped me off a little bit further and gave me that personal anecdote of there are certain shoppers that just their search begins and ends on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't want to ignore that.
Now, if you could make it short and sweet I know there are listeners out there, they're 100% on probably Shopify or something similar, and they're scared of Amazon, what would you tell them? Should they explore it?
Yeah, well, we're on Shopify too. And, we're experimenting with merging the two and doing you can buy with Prime with certain products. Mm-hmm. On BreakingT.com. You can buy them with Amazon Prime, which is fantastic with regard to free shipping that we're not paying for, and fantastic with regard to you can get it by, whatever date, which is usually very near, and probably before whatever you're buying our product for. A lot of our products they're event related. You're buying it as a gift for. You're buying it as, something you're going to wear to a game, so having their capability and that capability of saying you're going to get it by this date, it's really powerful for our type of product and maybe, other goods. But we can't make that promise. We can print really fast and we can pack it up and ship it out really fast, but it's going through USPS and we have to give you a range. It might be Tuesday, it might be Thursday. And we could even say it's going to be Thursday by Thursday, but it's not really up to us, so that's been the other, and also what we do from a product standpoint, it's a bit more commoditized, you can get sports t-shirts, you can get, from other places than BreakingT.com.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on what you're selling as well. I feel if you've got a product that's very differentiated and you have to go to this specific brand to get it, that might make a little more sense to be, Shopify 100%.
Yeah. Very nuanced and great answer from you, Jamie. Now, is there anything I didn't ask you about that you think would resonate with our audience today?
You didn't say, "Hey, Jamie, how do you know everything that's happening in sports all the time?" Would you like to know?
I mean, if I could guess, I'm just going to guess.
Okay.
Hashtags and what's trending on social media platforms.
Yes, and it used to be I was just looking at Twitter and looking at SportsCenter, and I'm a sports fan, and everybody we hired along the way is sports fans, and we know stuff.
I mean, that's a great job. You're allowed to watch SportsCenter at work.
I love it. I mean, I'm looking over I've got college basketball tournament action on TV right now. It's awesome. But what we've developed is a platform called CrowdBreak, where we have dashboards for all the teams and all the sports and all the markets. And if we're intentionally looking for something, if we're oh man, what do Yankees fans care about, this season going into the 2025 Major League Baseball season, we can look in CrowdBreak and see everything kind of sorted for us, the trending topics, the most highest performing content, the most viral videos. And we can kind of cherry pick different aspects that might inform our creative and our products. So that's the intentional go get it. But then if something unexpectedly awesome happens with I'll just pick a random team, the Winnipeg Jets of the NHL, that triggers an alert for our team. You know, that Winnipeg Jets are like over-indexing on social media. We know about it through CrowdBreak, and then we can do that intentional part where we kind of understand it and get the flavor of it. And that's how we scale this approach to like hot market, unplanned, sports apparel with BreakingT is through the CrowdBreak platform and, listening to all the social chatter.
You and the team developed this?
Yeah, we developed it, and we use it for sports, but really it could be for anything.
And did you spin it off into its own kind of entity?
Should we?
Eat your own dog food. That's the Microsoft way.
So far, we use it internally, and we make it available to partners, and it informs some of our partner like ordering behavior. NFL free agency. 100 players just switch teams. Okay, well, what's the top 10 in what order, and how many shirts should we buy? So like that's been helpful to kind of work with partners. But it could evolve from there.
That's a very interesting kind of just the IP that you've developed there. Like, I'm sure there's some ways that it could definitely be of maybe a viable business in and of itself. I remember interviewing a gentleman, and I forget the name of the suit brand, but the technology in which they developed to basically take your measurements and have a custom tailored suit made within a week. Mm-hmm. They realized that the making the suits wasn't the product, it was the technology, and then they turned around and sold that business for a bunch of money.
Shopify we were talking about earlier, wasn't Shopify was started by like some Canadian like snowboarder?
Yeah, Toby selling snowboards. Yep.
Yeah, and then it's like running all of our stores.
Exactly. Awesome. Jamie, now obviously you talked about how awesome and timely and innovative these teas are. If I want to go check them out, where should I go? What should I do? Yeah,
BreakingT.com, man. Go to BreakingT.com. Every day we got new products. So I don't know what the new things are going to be tomorrow. I didn't know today what it was going to be until like last night happened. So we're putting out new shirts every day. I don't even want to call them drops or anything because they're like not planned. It's not like a planned assortment. Mm-hmm. It's more like we're just kind of watching what happens and reacting to it as best we can and trying to turn like today's excitement into like tomorrow's new favorite t-shirt. So BreakingT.com, and we'll take care of you.
Awesome, Jamie. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
All right. Thanks, Chase. Good talking to you.
We can't thank our guests enough for coming on the show and sharing their knowledge and journey with us. We've got a lot to think about and potentially add into our own businesses. You can find all the links in the show notes. You can subscribe to the newsletter at honestecommerce.co to get each episode delivered right into your inbox. If you're enjoying this content, consider leaving a review on iTunes. That really helps us out. Lastly, if you're a store owner looking for an amazing partner to help you get your Shopify store to the next level, reach out to Electric Eye at electriceye.io/connect. Until next time.